Hi Chewers, my name is Ren Brown of Chud.com, and I wanted to take you through a quick run through of the new message board system on the redesigned Chud.com. These days it's based on the Huddler platform, which is pretty much comparable to what we've used in the past, but has a whole bevy of new features and powerful tools that we can use. I kind of wanted to take you through a little bit so everybody's aware of what's at their disposal. So if you bear with me a little bit, I'm just going to do this as quick as possible, real rough and dirty, so bear with me if there are any small hiccups. But first, obviously, you need to open up your browser and, well, ignore that. But obviously, we have our new Chud.com redesigned homepage, which is very nice and spiffy looking. And to get to the forums, instead of using anything on the menu bar now, it's right at the top, nice and prominent with the home button, the community button. So just hit that and let it load up. And while it does that, if you don't mind me, I'm going to make this a little easier to see. But now you see we have our brand new Chud message board homepage. Now, like before, you'll want to log in. Your old login should work, and you can do that either by logging in here with your normal login or connecting with Facebook, which is a new feature, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But I'm just going to log in quickly so that we can talk a little bit about what all you get now as a board user. So looking at this a little bit, we have our new homepage, which involves the standard navigational bar, your search box. We have a new rotator here that kind of keeps you up to date on what's going on in the front page of the site, which these kind of links will open up articles on the front page and will be kind of refreshed and constantly updated. You have your community activity, which we'll talk a little bit about. You have your message box here, and then a whole bunch of features down below that, again, we'll talk a little bit about. But before we do that, I'll just kind of give you a run through. First, you have your search bar, which will allow you to search for anything on the message boards, including products and wikis and reviews, which we'll get to a little bit later, but the threads themselves as well. You'll find the search is much more powerful and responsive and accurate than it's ever been before. It's a really useful search now. I've already told you a little bit about this. Again, if you click on this sort of thing, you're going to get an article on the front page. Alright, then down here you'll see you have your recent Chud.com community activity, which, like on the old site, you saw reflected here with new posts that you would find. Same kind of thing here, which is just reflecting what's been going on in the community lately. But there's a whole brand new batch of features that we'll get to with how it's displaying information. You also have your message box over here, which allows you to interact with your message system, and clicking either inbox or all messages here is going to take you into the dedicated messages page. And then down below we have everything from who's online to the latest community statistics to what movie reviews have been done lately, and then our footer down here, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So the first thing we'll do is talk a little bit about interacting with threads, which is what you obviously want to do the most of. So to get to that, you'll see up here in the menu bar you have a forums, which gives you a drop down, which will let you to navigate to anywhere specifically within the forum structure that you would like to go. Or you can click on this all new post button, which again is same kind of thing that you would have found on the old boards here. Except now it's a much more powerful feature. Now I've already activated it, so you won't see it here, but most of you, the first time you log in at least, will see something asking you to participate in the activity feed beta. I would suggest that you go ahead and get yourself involved with that. It's something you can turn off if you want, but it's a pretty powerful feature, and we're going to talk a little bit about it right now. What that's going to do is allow you to hit the settings drop down right here, and if you uncheck the summary view, it's going to give you a very different picture of what exactly is happening on the message boards. What you're going to see is kind of everything, a bird's eye view of everything that is going on. I'm going to kind of click on here so you can see everything. Won't add much, but right now what you're seeing is individual posts that people have added to things. You're also seeing things like down here we have a page view for a product page that I'm actually going to add a little later on in the video. And then we have things like Jan changing a profile picture or a test wiki being created. You have individual responses within a message board thread. It's basically kind of a forum-specific version of what you would get on your Facebook feed. Kind of gives you just a more, if you're keeping up with the forums on a kind of more horse race basis, it can kind of give you a very specific idea of what's happening as it happens. So if you're really detailed about keeping up with things, then this would be a good way to kind of know what's really going on. But right now we'll just interact with a thread and exactly how to get into it. Now there's 4 different ways to enter a thread from this view. You can click the main title here, which is going to take you to the newest thread that you have not read, which will reflect this little number here. Or over here you have the option to enter with the first post or the very last post. And then finally you can also click your name here, which will appear if you've ever posted in this thread before, and that'll allow you to go to your last post. So this time we're just going to click on the main title here, this 365 Days of Sci-Fi. And it's going to bust me into this thread, and since I've never read this thread before, it's showing me the very top post here. So with this, we'll kind of go into what you're going to see within a thread. Now there's all of the standard stuff, the title and the actual threads we'll get to, but at the top we have our universal search bar, the breadcrumb trail that kind of shows you where in the navigation of the forums you are. And then we have this, which is a new feature, which is the forum navigation bar that allows you to jump anywhere in the forum you want to go. It's a pretty useful feature, and it'll also take you into your subscriptions and private messages into your home area. It also gives you kind of universal access to that all new posts button from pretty much any thread in the forum. And then once you get down here, you have a couple navigational options. You've got view first unread, which will take you down into the thread. You can search the thread, you can subscribe to it, deal with the preferences, pretty much exactly what you're used to with most standard message boards. It'll also allow you to start a new thread within this subforum or post a reply, which is going to jump you to the bottom of the page. Let's talk about a little bit about what a post is made up of. This is the first automated Chud main site feed for an article on the front page. But like anything else, you're going to have your avatar, which they're a little bigger these days, your timestamp, your number, post count, things like that. This new feature, you can drop down, you get a little bit more robust features with how you can interact with another member of the forum. You can choose to ignore or follow members from these drop-down menus, check out their posts, view their profile. You have the content of the post, and down here you'll typically have signatures. You can see here an example of a signature, which should be a little less bombastic than they have been in the past, although that's something that could change. Down here you have your options for interacting with a thread, which starting from the right, you have the reply button, which is going to jump you down to the reply editor. You have the quote function, which is going to do the same thing, except it's going to quote whatever post you've clicked this button on. And then you have the multi-quote button, which what that does, it's a feature we've had before, but if you've never used it, it allows you to click on multiple posts, and in the order in which you click them, when you do finally hit quote, it's going to drop you down to the editor, and it's a little weirdly formatted so you can't see words right now, but it's going to drop down the quotes of everything that you've hit that multi-quote button on. So it allows you to kind of efficiently respond to multiple people within a post, which this also brings us down to our post editor, which I figured chewers would find it interesting that on the Huddler platform, their WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get, post editor is actually called the FUCK editor, the FCK editor. Thought that was kind of amusing. But it's this sort of standard buttons that you would see on anything with your formatting options, and you can type in the fields and highlight and do whatever you need to do, bold, italicize, change size, headings. You can deal with the source code. If you're familiar with BB code at all, you have the same kind of options that you would always have, which are these kind of start and end tags that manipulate the text in different ways. And a couple new features is we have YouTube embeds that you can put directly into a post and will actually show up with a YouTube player as opposed to just a link, which is a pretty cool feature for a lot of threads. I know that will benefit from that. You can do polls when you start a new thread. That's a feature that still exists, and you'll find works the same way that you're used to. Another feature you'll find with a post editor is that you can actually upload pictures So instead of having to use a separate service or doing the dreaded hot linking, you can actually upload the picture. Which, for example, you can pull something right off of your hard drive and load it up, and it'll be right there. With a right click, you can go to image properties and you can do all the different kinds of sort of editing that you would want to do, whether change the alternative text, give it a link, that kind of thing, figure out where you want it aligned on the page. So that's a little bit more robust than we've found in the past. Within this, you also have the option to hit the full page editor button, which will take you into a much bigger editor that kind of gives you a little bit more room to play. And then you can also see the post that you're responding to fully formatted, which is new and nice. And it'll also, of course, give you a post preview. The next thing I want to tell you a little bit about is your profile itself before we move on to some of these other features. So to get to your profile, you want to hit your name up at the top right. Here you'll find your community profile page, which shows whatever information you've listed. Your new avatar, which is bigger than it was before, and then obviously it shrinks when it shows up elsewhere in the forums, but on here it's a nice big picture. It'll show your recent activity, down to any products you've created, any individual posts within a forum. You have albums, your forum signature that you can modify below here. And then there are a couple of options that you probably want to know about that I'll show you. And you edit account details will take you into this page, which you can change your birthday and post code, things like that. But down here in forum preferences, there's a couple things you might want to know about, including hiding user signatures or hiding avatars if you're not into that kind of thing. You can default your responses to the full page editor, which is nice. But most importantly is this view forums full width, which for some people might be a useful feature. If you click that and save it, you'll find that formatting changes a little bit within threads. So for example, find a thread with plenty of replies. We have the Rock Band thread that's got 5,000 replies. When you come into a thread, you'll find that on the right here you have these floating boxes which posts kind of line up with. But once you get to the bottom of these floating boxes, you'll see that posts start to extend outward. Now if you undo or you check the option, the view full width option in your settings that I did, you'll find now that the posts are dynamic and will grow with your browser. Now I kind of have a monstrous browser here, or desktop here, so that doesn't really make sense for me, but for some people that may be a useful feature. If you have it unchecked, it's going to fix the width of posts so that they don't extend really any farther than, say, this size right here. Now we'll talk a little bit about the wiki pages. This is pretty straightforward. It's right here at the top button. We obviously don't have a lot populated quite yet, but it's very standard. It's structured exactly like the Wikipedia style infrastructures that you're used to, which is a community editable knowledge pages, so to speak. It's just a collection of information, and it's the kind of thing that, since it's dedicated to us here at Chud, we can kind of exploit for all kinds of different things. I know it probably will be a really useful and powerful feature for drafts that may happen on the message boards in the future. We can use them for onboard lists, all kinds of different things. They're available. There's not much now. I believe this is a thread that's been created, and it's the same sort of thing. This you can edit. Anybody can edit a wiki, and it's this kind of thing which will pull up a WYSIWYG editor that'll finish loading here in a second, and anybody can edit it, and then you'll of course have a history that's kept just like Wikipedia does. Every Wikipedia page has its own dedicated discussion thread, so that you can kind of, if you want to discuss, how something should be worded or what should be changed or what picture should be used, if you want to discuss that with other users, there's a dedicated thread to do so. You can also subscribe to a wiki so that anytime it's changed or added to, you'll be notified. Going back to the wiki main page, you'll see a couple things. Right now, Nick has loaded up a number of kind of just instructional wiki pages that can kind of give you an idea of how to use certain parts of the message board, so those are good to check out. Those are not editable because they're explaining features on the site. But next we're going to talk about the review section of the message boards, which is a pretty powerful feature that lets you users review any product or item that you would like. Right now we have it relegated to just films and video games, but that will expand to books and products and other things very soon. But right now, if we go into films, you'll see a list of all the films that have currently been added, and you can interact with those in a number of ways. Right now they're going to be ranked depending on their kind of community-wide rating, but using the search bar up here, you'll be able to search through them to find something very specific. You can use these tabs over here to kind of narrow what it's demonstrating. But to talk a little bit about something specific, we'll click here on How to Train Your Dragon and show you what this kind of does. Basically, it's kind of our own internal database of films that allows us to do our own internal reviews and collect user ratings on the board. You can write reviews of it, you can add it to your own personal lists, you can add it to say that it's something you would like to see, and it'll keep track of that, and over time we'll hopefully build a pretty nice database of information about our users and what they like, and kind of have our own ranking of what the chewers' favorite films are, that sort of thing. So it's a really powerful feature. When you write a review, you get a full suite of things that you can rate with star ratings, place for a full review with guidelines on what to cover. It's a really powerful feature. If we go back to the films, if there's something you'd like to review that you don't see, it's very easy to add an item. Now, say there's a product that you want to add a review for or something like that, and it's not currently in the system. When you search it out, it's not already in our system. So all you have to do is hit Add an Item, and we will add, let's give Days of Heaven a shot. See if that's already in the system or not. So when you search, you'll get this, and you kind of get a response, and you start looking through here, and here we go. We'll find Days of Heaven, and we'll go for the Criterion Collection Blu-ray. So we'll hit that, and since it's not already in the system, it's going to ask you what category it should go in. Obviously, this should go in film. You hit go, and now we have a page for it, and this will allow anyone to write a review, describe if they want to see it or if they've seen it, that sort of thing, and we'll be able to keep a collection of that sort of thing. Next up, we have the chat function, which is we've had that in the past, but this one is a much more robust chat client. It works much better. Great thing first is it keeps a log. So when you kind of dive into the chat room, if there's already an ongoing conversation, you can kind of get up to speed. Goes back several posts. We can see that people have already been exploiting the chat room here. Same kind of thing, very basic formatting. You can choose whether or not you see avatars or timestamps, but very much easier to keep track of what's going on and who's talking. It's overall just a nicer chat client. Obviously, you can pop it out of the browser here if you want to give it its own window and continue to move on with your life and see great things. Next up, we should take a look at the profiles, which you've kind of already seen when I went through your user account there recently, but this is a more public thing that other people are going to see, the information that you've provided, to let people interact with you. There's a public message board here that acts kind of like a stripped-down Facebook wall, and any recent activity you have. This is kind of your representative homepage on the message board. The last thing I want to cover is the footer down here at the bottom of the page, which is very basic, gives you an idea of what's going on in the community, how many people are on, but most importantly, it gives you just a kind of a big bird's eye view of everything that's happening in each of the three categories. So you have your recent discussions, just like you would anywhere else on the forum, but you also have recent reviews and recent wikis. So this is a good place to keep track of what's happening in those two new features. So I hope you enjoy and have fun with the new message board threads. We're obviously going to be keeping track of your questions and making sure you know about any other new features, and we'll all kind of together figure out exactly how we're going to exploit the wikis and review section. That's something I think that will kind of organically evolve as time goes on. So thanks for watching, guys.